Hello, I'm David Magone. Today's practice is perfect for beginners and people with less experience. To practice, you will need a yoga mat and a set of blocks. Now, today we'll begin with some breathing exercises to get started. We'll do a standing pose set afterward, and then a final few moments of meditation toward the end. So if you will, place the blocks up near the front of your mat. And then whenever you've got that set, find your way to a comfortable seated position of some type. Close your eyes for the next few moments and focus all of your awareness on your inhales and your exhales. Should your mind wander elsewhere, just notice as quickly as you can. Repetitively, redirect your awareness to your breath. Your thoughts and your breathing are interconnected. Changes to one always affect the other. If you slow down the rate at which you breathe, after a little while, it will lead to a slight reduction in the speed at which you're thinking. So today, let your breath be normal. There's no need to deepen it at all. But at the end of every natural exhale, pause until it becomes a little uncomfortable, maybe 5 seconds or so. Take a normal inhale and a normal exhale once you've accomplished that, and then repeat it again. For the next few moments, pause for about 5 seconds at the end of your exhales. In the pause, relax and let your mind clear. Normal inhales and exhales between the pauses. For the next few moments, return to completely normal breaths, still paying attention to your inhale and your exhale. Then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Think of someone in your life you would like to dedicate today's practice to. Then send some good energy to your person mentally. All right, then open up your eyes. And when you're ready, come to a four-pointed kneeling position with your hands on the blocks, your shoulders over your wrists, and your knees just a slight bit behind your hip joint. We're going to start limbering up your back with a motion called the cat-cow kriya. So the next time you exhale, round your back like a cat, roll your tail under, and curl your chin to your chest. Then as you inhale, lift your tailbone, your collarbones and your chin, arching your back like a horse or a cow. And then alternate. Use your exhales to round your back. Use your inhales to arch the spine. And continue back and forth just like that. As you continue to move, know that a little micro bend in your elbows is definitely okay. But if you can keep your arms a little straighter, oftentimes you get a deeper stretch between your shoulder blades. So when you round your back especially, really try to press down through your hands to straighten your arms. Coordinate with your breathing so that you round as you exhale. And you arch as you inhale. And just continue on back and forth like that for a bit longer. Now draw your spine back to a somewhat more neutral position. And curl your toes under behind you there. Straighten one leg and then the other one for a push-up position with your hands on the blocks. And then take the downward dog. Lift your hips all the way upward into the air.
Come up to the tips of your toes. And as you drive out through your hands, press your chest a bit closer to your thighs. Shake your head yes a couple times to loosen up and limber up the back of your neck. And then gradually start some pedaling. Straighten one leg and press the heel closer to the mat. And then bend that leg you just straightened. Elongate the other one and alternate back and forth between your two sides. It's a really great way to loosen up your hamstrings and your calf muscles. All those muscles in the back of your legs. Now next, roll back to that push-up position and drop your knees all the way down to the floor. Roll your soft elbows forward. Tuck your tail just a little bit and drop your ribs down in the front. And then as you lower through a push-up, try to scrape your elbows to your ribs and lower down just a touch. And there with knees on the floor, press to a back bend. Lift up through your collarbones and your chest. And then lift your hips back upward in the air for the down dog stretch. And now take a look forward at the front and come up to the tips of your toes and rock your shoulders forward toward your hands a bit. From that position, step your right foot all the way forward between the blocks. Turn your left heel all the way down to the floor and come up to Warrior Two. As you spin up, let your torso face off to the left. Extend both arms out to the sides at roughly shoulder height and parallel to the floor. Straighten your back leg as much as you can. Bend the front leg and gaze all the way out over your fingertips as you hold the stretch. This one builds a ton of strength in your front leg and some flexibility in the back leg. As you hold, some deep breaths. Now to transition, reach all the way out and forward. Take your hands down to the blocks and turn your back heel up to face the ceiling. Step all the way back to that high push-up position and take your knees down. Roll your tail under. Squeeze your elbows into your ribs. Lower till your shoulder is around even with your elbow. And then press to the back bend with knees down. So modified up dog. Lift your hips up again for the down dog stretch. Now looking forward, come up to your tiptoes to increase your height and rock your shoulders forward toward your wrists. If you have a difficult time stepping your left leg straight forward, swing your left leg out to the side and then in. Take a moment to spin your back heel down to the floor beneath you there. And with your next breath in, come all the way back up to the top for full Warrior Two. Arms approximately parallel to the floor. Bend your front leg. And as you do that, press your left knee over toward your ankle. Knee right above the ankle itself. Straighten your back leg as much as possible by pressing through your heel. And finally, gaze in dramatic fashion out over the tips of your fingers. Slow breaths in and slow breaths out as you continue to hold the pose. Without dropping your arms, sort of soften the muscles around the bones. Now the combination of the push-up and the back bend and the down dog is called a vinyasa. So reach all the way out and forward. Plant your hands on the ground, the blocks, spin your back heel upwards, and step back to the high plank. And dropping your knees down, lower just a little bit or until your shoulder becomes even with elbow. Press to the up dog with your inhale. And then lift your hips back up in the air for the down dog stretch. This time, pause there. Come all the way up to your tiptoes. Bend your knees ever so slightly. And with your tailbone lifted high, press your chest toward your thighs. And gradually and slowly, straighten your legs just a bit at a time. Once you find a good stretch in the backs of your legs, just hold there and maintain. And now come up to your tiptoes again. Rock your shoulders forward toward the blocks. Step your right foot all the way forward. And this time, turn your back heel down to the earth. Square your hips with the front of your mat. And with a long, straight spine initially, come up to Warrior One with arms lifted high. Square your torso forward by rolling your left chest around and ahead. Imagine you've got a headlight beam, like the headlight from a motorcycle in your heart, and rotate right till the beam shines straight forward. Now press your back heel till your rear leg feels long and straight. Bend your front leg until it burns a little bit. Then today, press your arms overhead as well as back and allow a slight back bend as you hold. And take both arms out to the sides and lean forward over your leg. Plant your hands upon the blocks. Step back to the plank. Drop your knees to the earth. Lower through the push-up, elbows in. Press to the back bend with knees down. Lift your hips again for the down dog stretch. Rock your shoulders all the way forward. And then step your left foot to your thumbs. Turn your back heel all the way down to the ground. And with an inhale, sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Now with your back heel on the floor, your hips are not going to be perfectly square, but roll your right hip around and forward and get as square as you can get. Pressing your back heel into the floor, reach up through your hands. If it's hard to straighten your arms, take your arms a bit wider and really reach up through your fingertips. Now maintain your squared positioning with the front. Press your arms overhead as well as back to open your chest a little bit more. Reach your arms out to the sides, lean forward over your leg, plant your hands, step back to the high plank with knees down, the push-up, called chaturanga. The up dog with an inhale, and then the down dog stretch with your exhale. Again, press out through your hands. Let your heels drop a little closer to the ground, and roll through some pedaling in your legs to loosen up your hamstrings and your calves. All right, take a look forward, rock your shoulders toward the blocks, and then step your right foot all the way ahead. Turn your back heel down to the ground. Grab your right block, pull it up onto its higher edge, and place it just outside the baby toe side of your foot. Now, we're going to come back to that very soon, but for now, leave the block as it is and spin all the way back up for Warrior Two, arms out to the sides. Turn your right hand up to face the ceiling and side bend your spine by side bending to your left. Take your left hand to the edge of your leg, make sure your back leg is as straight as possible, and then reach strongly, strongly, strongly through your right hand as you hold the edge of the stretch. Look down toward your left foot and just keep breathing with depth. Use your inhale and come all the way back to Warrior Two. This time, take your left hand to your left hip. Lean all the way forward and take your right hand down to the block with your right leg still bent. Now reach underneath your ribs with your left hand, grab the rib cage, spin your chest open to your left, then reach your left arm straight upwards in the air. And as you rotate and twist, gaze up toward your outstretched hand. Lots and lots of breath. Now use your inhale to come back to Warrior Two, driving down through your foot. Reach forward and outward, and then plant your hands on the blocks. Flip the one that's on its highest edge down. With your back heel facing up to the plank position with knees down. Roll your tail under and lower through the push-up. Back bend with your inhale. Lift your hips up again for the down dog with your exhale. Rock your shoulders forward toward your hands and come up to your tiptoes. Step your left foot all the way forward. Spin your left block up so that its long edge is up. Turn your back heel to the floor. Spin up to Warrior Two. And with both arms completely extended, turn your left hand up to face the ceiling. Side bend to your right. As your hand comes to rest upon the edge of your leg, stretch all the space in your waist and between the ribs by reaching strongly through your left fingertips. Sometimes the back leg tends to bend a little bit, so press through your heel and try to keep it as long as possible. Now use your inhale to come all the way back up to Warrior Two position. With your right hand resting on your hip, reach down and take your left hand to the block. If necessary, adjust it a bit so the block is right beneath your left shoulder. Then grabbing the underside of your ribs, use your hand to spin your torso open to the right hand side. Reach your right arm straight upward in the air. Either gaze down at the floor, sideways, or up toward your outstretched hand. And with your legs still very bent, just keep twisting open to the side for now. Now look down at the floor. Place your right hand on the block. Reposition the left one to take it down. Step to the plank with your knees upon the earth. Lower down through the push-up. From there, the back bend. And again, back to the downward facing dog. Rock your shoulders toward your hands. This time, step your left foot forward. And slowly take your back knee all the way down to the ground. Once you've done this, keep your right hand resting on the block. Take your left hand to your left knee. And with your knee centered right above the ankle, rotate, twist, and spin your torso open to the left. Now, if you prefer, you can always press back your rear heel to straighten your leg. If that's a bit much, feel free to keep doing the pose with the knee down. Twist. If it feels good, look up. If this doesn't feel great with your neck, look sideways or down. Now release the twist and plant your hands upon the blocks. This time, step all the way back to the down dog. Rocking your body's weight forward, shoulders toward your hands. Swing your right foot all the way forward. If it doesn't land there, you can always grab it and take a step forward. Then with your back knee taken down to the floor beneath, keep your left hand on the block. Take your right hand to your right knee. Then rotate your chest open to the side wall. And if you straightened your back leg before, definitely remember to do so here again. Slow, even breaths. Now the transitioning is going to be a bit different. Reach down and grab your blocks and pull them up to their highest edge. From there, turn your back heel down to the ground. Walk your hands and the blocks over to your left so you're facing the long edge of your mat. Then with your hands on the blocks themselves, turn your big toes in substantially. Straighten your legs as much as you can. Now roll your tail under very, very slightly. Tuck your ribs down in the front so your whole torso from hips to shoulders is compact like a brand new tube of toothpaste. Slide your shoulders away from your ears towards your belt. Stretch out to the top of your head. If you want a deeper stretch in the backs of your legs, take the blocks down to their narrowest edge. With your legs still very straight, just fold forward a slight bit deeper into the pose for now. And for the moment, use an inhale to come up to your fingertips. Return your hands to your waist. Stand all the way up. And this time, heel toe your feet all the way together. Now this time I'm going to do the pose facing toward the camera so you can better see. It's called the tree pose. Now start out with your feet pretty close together. They don't have to touch, but take them fairly close together. Come up onto the tiptoes of your right foot. I'm going to do my left so it looks like we're doing the same thing. Swivel your right knee to the side and place your heel against your ankle. Now, if you want to test your balance further, take your toe off of the floor. You can take your foot progressively higher up if you like. If you can grab your ankle and pull the foot to the inner thigh, do so. And then pressing your right heel into the inner thigh itself, curling your toes back to keep the foot in place. From any of those positions, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And just look at something very solid down there on the floor beneath. It's okay if you wobble. If that happens, just respond to the wobbling and do your best to right the balance. Take your foot all the way back down to the floor beneath you there. With your hands initially resting on your waist, come up to your left tiptoes. Let your heel rest against the inner ankle. In this pose, as long as you're standing on one foot, you're good. Experiment. If you can take your foot higher upward, take it as high as you like. And if you get to the point where you can reach down and grab your ankle, use your hand to pull up. Now, to prevent your foot from slipping, attempt to curl your left toes backward. Press your heel into your inner thigh. Now, with your eyes still locked on that one singular point, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And keep focusing on your body and your breath. For the moment, take your foot all the way back down to the floor. Reach down and grab your blocks. Take them up to the front of your mat. Just like we began class with. Place the blocks near the long edges of the mat itself. Step back a little bit so your toes are just behind the blocks. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. The next time you inhale, sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Forward fold as you exhale. Bend your knees and take your hands down to the blocks. And lift to your fingertips. Hike your hips up until your legs feel a little straighter. Then bend your legs, plant your hands, step back to the high plank position, and take your knees to the ground. This time, move your blocks completely out of the way. Roll your tail under and lower all the way down to your stomach. Now we have to counteract some of those push-ups you just did. So pulling with your hands, drag the bottom rim of your ribs further forward. Look straight down at the ground. Lift your hands off of the floor. Lift your chest off of the ground. And then stretch back through your legs until your legs lift off the floor. Squeeze your shoulders all the way back in together. As you exhale, take everything down. As you inhale, lift everything up. And continue on your own. Exhale as everything relaxes down. Inhale as you raise up and squeeze your shoulders back. Self-paced, keep going with that. Huge inhales and huge exhales. Couple more breaths. This next time you rise up to the top, hold there. Draw your elbows away from the floor to squeeze your shoulders together. And then relax all the way down. Press down through your hands to come back to the four-pointed kneeling position. Once you've done so, walk your hands back a little bit so your hands are beneath your shoulders. The next one's called the threaded needle. Sweep your left arm across your midline. As your hand reaches over, you can drop your shoulder closer to the floor. Feel free to stay higher up there. Well, if you can take your shoulder and your head to the floor, take them down and keep twisting for now. Press down and come up. Then repeat the same posture on the other side. Sweep your right arm across your center line until your shoulder and your head come to the earth beneath. If your shoulder and head won't come down that far, it's okay. Just twist to whatever depth you can. Now press down to come all the way up. Roll over onto your hip. And to finish, come to a seated cross-legged position of some type. If you find that your knees are really lifted high upward here, you can always slide the blocks out there in the outer edge of your knee to let your knees come down onto the blocks themselves. And for the next few moments, close your eyes and return to your focus on your breathing. Completely normal inhales and exhales. As you focus on your breath, just recognize all those subtle currents of energy flowing through your body. Then begin pausing your breath again. At the end of your exhales, pause for around 5 seconds. Let your mind settle as you pause. And after a normal inhale and exhale, carry on, repeating that pause at the end of your exhales. If you're able to pause just a slight bit longer, do so. If not, it's okay. And for the moment, return awareness to your normal breathing patterns. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated your practices to. And send that person some good energy mentally. If you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.